Hi there, welcome to Basic Axe Throwing. My name is Con. You can call me Canary if you like, that just means teacher. Today is going to be all about the basics, the setup, the safety, the form, things of that nature. To begin with, you're going to need about 12 to 15 feet of space. 12 feet is the minimum distance from which you want to begin throwing at, and 15 feet just gives you that extra range. If you're taller, you might need to step further back, or if you want to practice throwing in the same way but with different distances, you can do that too. Your lane needs something as a backstop behind it. In this case, I've got a hedge with a fence running through it, but if you want to use like archery netting, that would be fine. Fabric is fine, or just another wall of some sort to prevent axes going beyond the target area. There are many different videos you can find where people don't account for this, and axes can and do go past the target. People miss when they're getting started. It's not unusual. You just want that extra safety precaution. Also, on the range management side of things, if anyone comes beyond your throwing line, stop throwing. Ideally, put your axe down or put it in a holster just to indicate to anyone ahead of you that you're not intending to throw at that time. It's a nice courtesy and it's also good safety. When it comes to your clothing, you can wear whatever you want, really. It doesn't matter too much. You might want to tie your hair back. You might want to take your earrings out. It's kind of up to you on that one. It's not super dangerous to have earrings in. The axe shouldn't be anywhere near this part of your face in general anyway. And hair, it's helpful to have it tied back, but it's up to your comfort level really on that one. I'm not going to say you must do that. I think that's a bit silly. If you're comfortable having your hair out, go for it. If you don't have long hair, not a concern for you. When it comes to footwear, make sure you're wearing closed-toe boots of some sort, or shoes at least with a closed toe. Don't throw with Crocs, don't throw with sandals. This isn't because you're going to cut your foot off with the axe, but rather because while you're holding the axe, you may find yourself clumsily dropping it at some point, and if you drop it onto your foot, that's just going to crush your toes potentially, and it's not nice to do that. You want to avoid that problem at all costs. So that's the basic safety elements there. When it comes to throwing outdoors, it's really simple. Your lane is obviously dirt, so don't worry about axes bouncing back. If you're indoors and you have wood paneling on the floor, or rubber mats potentially, be aware that axes bounce. This is part of their military application in history. They're meant to bounce around. It's kind of a terror tactic thing, especially with Franciscas. But you really don't want the axes to do that to begin with. Make sure that the ground of your lane is absorbent and not bouncy. This way you prevent the risk of bounce back. That's where the axe bounces back towards you. You can solve this with blankets, pillows, rubber chips, fake grass, all sorts of different methods to make that work. Wood chips are the most common because they just absorb the impact of the axe and they don't really bounce back towards you. Do whatever you feel is best if you're setting this up indoors, but I would advise do it outdoors personally. Or if you really can't set this up, if you don't have the space, go to an axe throwing venue. They're already set up for you. Just again, be aware of what I've told you. Some of them do have rubber matting, some of them do have wood paneling on the floor without something to absorb it. Just, keep that in mind, that they might bounce back. They'll warn you about that when you go anyway. A good instructor should, regardless. When it comes to the axes you want to use to begin with, I would suggest start with something that's about 450 grams. It's a basic hatchet. You can get these for between 10 and 20 quid from a local hardware store like B&Q or something. It doesn't really matter too much, just a basic hatchet. Easy as that. You can go up to about 800 grams like this one, but it's not necessary, and to begin with, I would start with something light. The lighter the axe head and the shorter the handle, the faster the rotation. The longer the handle and the heavier the axe, the slower the rotation. The faster the rotation, the closer you need to stand. The slower the rotation, the further back you need to stand. You're going to get the idea that as we go through this, there are different little factors that change the distance you should be standing at. And to begin with, it's quite hard to just intuitively know what that is. Over time, that will become more apparent. You may also choose to wrap your handle. In this case, this is electrical tape. You can use that. Start at the neck and work your way downwards. That way, when you release the material, it's layered in such a way that it doesn't catch on your skin, and it's a nice smooth release. You may also choose to just have the handle bare. That's absolutely fine. You can do that. Just be aware that if you hit the handle off of your target, it may splinter, it may get damaged, and you may cut your hand or something, so it's always wise to wrap it. If the worst happens and the handle splits, the tape keeps it in place, so you can carefully open it up, you can put some glue in, you can seal it again and rewrap it. This keeps axes lasting for a long, long time, so you'll see a lot of venues actually do this. Right then, let's talk about form and how to throw an axe. To begin with, don't worry about the axe, put that down for now. What you want to do is stand shoulder width apart. I'm going to stand this way because I'm on a hill. but stand shoulder width apart with your feet, right? And now, if you're right-handed, take your right leg, put that back, again, about shoulder width distance, but face that way. Both of your feet should be facing this direction, and both of your hips should be rotated to face that direction as well. We want balance forwards and backwards here. On that note, look down at your left foot, and if you can see your left toes still, just lean forward on that left knee until that is no longer visible. That's how you know that you're properly stanced. This is a front stance that you can learn in Shotokan Karate. It works really well as a framework here. The foundations of the house support the rest of the house, and in this case, the rest of the house is your upper body throwing the axe. The more balanced you are at the base, the more balanced you are at the top, the more accurate your throwing is going to be. Stand at about 12 feet away from the target. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take this coat off so you can see more easily. Get the axe in your hand, right at the bottom of the handle, so you can't really see any handle if it's facing that direction. Now, let it lean back in your hand slightly. As you can see here, I'm not really holding on with all of my fingers. The lighter I grip, the less friction on the axe when I release it, and the faster the rotation. Start light with everything and build up to the sweet spot. It's much easier to add power than it is to take it away if you start with it. So like that, in between the wedge of your thumb and forefinger, with just your pinky and the ring finger maybe holding on for balance. The other two fingers can wrap round, but they're not really holding on, they're just there. So when we release, it's a nice open hand movement. That lean back with the axe just puts it in a good position, because when we swing it, it's going to want to fall forward anyway, thanks to the shape of the head. It's top heavy, it wants to drop forwards, we're just holding it back so that when we swing, it's nice and controlled. Keeping it in that same position is also easy to keep consistent, which means you have one less thing to worry about when you're making adjustments. Now for the two-handed throw, which is a bit of a misnomer, you're actually not going to hold on with both hands. You're going to get your stance together, hold the axe all the way out in front of you, just like this. Your spare hand is going to cup on the outside, but it's not going to grip. Remember, more grip, slower rotation. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and light to begin with. That spare hand is just a rudder. It's just stopping you from straying left and right, so you go straight forwards. In this position, for the two-handed throw, the arm is fully extended. We don't need to bend it here. It's not necessary. Bring it all the way over your head, just like so, and you can either step back with this left foot, or you can lean on that spare foot. It doesn't matter which one you use. Both will work just the same, as long as you land at that 12-foot mark with your foot again. When we move forwards again, we're just imparting that forward momentum to the axe before we release it or before we swing it. Things that are already in motion obviously stay in motion, so we're just adding to that forward momentum. But it's not necessary. You may find that you're good enough just standing here, swinging back and swinging forward. You have to lean a little bit, but you don't necessarily need to move your feet. Play around with that one. It's just a form difference. You can choose that. I like to step backwards, and I can feel my lats contract there. That's how I know I'm locked and loaded. And when you're swinging back through, you're going to release when your hands pass between your eyebrow and chin, pretty much there, or on the eye level, whichever one works for you as a thought process. Once you release, point your fingers towards the target, and in your head tell yourself you want to touch the target with that main hand fingertip. So, have the arm all the way outstretched, left hand cups on the side, stance is nice and stable, swing all the way back over the top of the head, arms above me, swing back through and step through, release as my hands pass my eyebrow and chin on the eye level. Just like that. So on that last one, my axe landed with a slight under rotation. That tells me that I'm standing a bit too close for this axe. This one's about 800 or so grams. Makes a bit of sense. Like I said earlier, the heavier the axe, the slower the rotation. So I can step back maybe a foot just to begin with, and I can experiment using the exact same form. And now I can see that it's landed on the toe of the axe. That's the top point of the axe, nicely into the target. But there's a slight wobble, so I was a bit unstable, and it's not quite where I want it to be. So I didn't really focus on the target point as much as I should have. Let's try it again. This time it landed nicely, but I released too late. That's okay. We can just keep adjusting until we get it right, and then we lock in what we did right. Bit too early now. So split the difference. I need to release just a bit after that. And that's a bit more like it. The release was in between those last two shots. It went right for where I was aiming for, and the angle is quite good too. I like how it's on the toe of the axe. If your axe lands under rotated, that usually means you want to step a little bit further back to let it rotate more. If you find that it's over rotating and landing like that, or bouncing off of the eye of the axe, or even spinning again and hitting the handle and bouncing off, that means stand a little bit closer. This is where height comes into play. The taller you are, the longer your parabolic arc is going to be, so you need to stand a little bit further away. That's fine. If you're a little bit shorter, I'm 5'6" for reference, you might find that you need to stand at 11 feet rather than 12. Experiment with one thing at a time. Make adjustments bit by bit. Don't try and change everything all at once. The less you can change, the more efficient you're going to be at improving. Now we're going to move on to the one-handed throw. In this case, it's the same stance. We're going to hold the axe out in our main hand, and this time we're going to take our left hand fingers, or our spare hand fingers, touch the back of the axe head, like this. Now bring this to your ear, like so. Not the axe head, but the fingers. And make a nice rectangle shape, like this. Once you're in position, and you've anchored, drop this left hand away. It can go behind you, it can go in your pocket, it can go underneath. You make a platform, whatever feels comfortable. Remember that we've got that axe leaning back a little bit, but in this one, we're going to need a little bit more control for what we're doing. It should ideally be over the top of your shoulder, or just about. When we come back now, either leaning or stepping, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate that rectangle round until the elbow faces towards the target. We're not changing the shape of that rectangle. When we bring it back, same thing as before, swing through and release again when your hand passes between your eyebrow and chin. Again, pretty much on the eye level. Just like that. And in this case, we can actually get a lot more accurate. The anchor position of our ear really helps us out. The swing is the exact same as we would with the overhand two-hand throw, except we're not extending fully now, we're unfurling the arm. There are other techniques for one-handed throwing, like the Canadian flick, where it's balancing on the shoulder instead. There's a lot of versatility to this. That style of throwing you might see in the World Axe Throwing League. That's kind of a preference of mine when I want to be accurate, and it really works well to practice that on planks first. Now I'm going to tell you guys about underarm throwing. You're going to do basically the same thing, but upside down. Hold it like so. So again, no real handles really notable. You may have it shuffled up just a bit for this one. Easier grip. Now, it's the same logic as having it leaned back in the hand here. By holding it this way, the axe wants to swing forward on its own. The issue is we've got a leg in the way if we just stand like we did before. So take the same stance and then narrow it a bit and bring that leg in so you can lean over your shoulder a bit like you're bowling. When you're releasing the underarm, be cautious that you don't throw too hard or too fast, because it will probably go upwards, and in this case go into the hedge, or if you're really, really bad with it, it'll probably go upwards, and then it's a quick scramble to get out the way. Swing through, like so, and try and think of it as punching at the target now, to where you want it to go. The release point is roughly in line with your foot's midsection, something like that. But it may take you a while to get used to it. Start really, really, really light, and then build power later with confidence. Just like that. See how it's a nice light swing past the hip? You can either think of it as a punch, you can think of it as swinging and releasing, whatever makes the most sense to you. It's a bit better into the center line, but still a little bit low. And that's a little bit better, more into the white of the target I want to begin with anyway. When it comes to these things, don't beat yourself up about your accuracy to begin with. That comes with time. Start by just getting it to stick in an overhand fashion, one of the two main techniques I've shown you today. Pick whichever one you like. The underarm is a bit of fun. After a while, you might find yourself wanting to walk it in, which is definitely doable, but we'll talk all about that in the next episode of Advanced Axe Throwing. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. I know this has been really brief, really basic, really introductory, but it's meant to be accessible. This sets you up for a whole adventure of different fun martial arts principles later on. We've talked about stances today, specifically the ending stance of a straight punch. You can get that concept down here with axe throwing. We've talked a little bit about accuracy. We've talked about wanting to touch the target. Notice that at no point am I looking at the axe in my hand. that whole Bruce Lee thing of, you know, if you're pointing at the moon and you look at your fingernail, you're missing out on the moon. So look at the target. Don't think about what you're doing with your hand once you've set yourself up. Trust your body, trust your brain, trust your eyes. You know how to point at stuff, right? If you're pointing at something, you never look at your finger, you just point at the damn thing, and it's like there's a laser beam going from the fingertip to the thing you're actually looking at. Eye-hand coordination is that, right? It's in your brain already. You've got aimbot built in. So use this as an instant feedback practice routine. It teaches you if you did it wrong or if you did it right pretty much instantaneously. And that means you can very, very rapidly progress. Like I said, later, we'll talk about the advanced concepts. For now, hope you've had a fun time here today. I'll see you guys next time.